What's up? It's Worm. Just back at you with another Warhammer little lore tidbit. My girlfriend's out for the night, so I figured naturally it's a healthy thing to just sit in my room alone in front of a green screen with a drink and talk to my phone about Warhammer, or you all, I guess. I hope you're watching, because otherwise I am officially losing it. So today I have a little lesser known lore tidbit for you all. This is called the Thracian Atrocity. Now it's a small small event. It happens in one book and has some lasting repercussions for some characters in the universe. So you might be asking, what is the Thracian Atrocity? Well, the Atrocity happened on the planet Thracian Primaris. Thracian Primaris is a hive world, meaning billions and billions and billions of people live there. So after 241 millennia 41, Thracian Primaris is the capital of the Helican subsector, a sector that's pretty well known for being a refuge for cultists and chaos worshippers. So not a good place in the galaxy to be in. It's also a part of the Scarus sector, which is where Gudrun is, another hive world within the 40K universe that has some notability to it. Now, we're about to talk about how Thracian managed to shoot itself in the foot. Not just one foot, but basically both of them at the same time. This event happens in the book Eisenhorn Malleus. Correct the pronunciation in the comments below. So obvious spoilers for that book ahead, because this is a pretty major plot point in it. I'm also going to be making a video about that book, but I wanted to go into this particular event in more detail than would allow me time in that video. It would be very long if I did that. On Thracian Primaris, they are holding a Holy Novena. A Holy Novena is essentially a large parade that they're going to be celebrating. Is a large event because the Imperium caught 33 Alpha Plus level Psychers finally after years of work, and they want to show them off. Essentially, they're going to have this giant parade, and they're going to bring they're having the parade while they transport the Psychers. Now, a hive world, again, billions upon billions of people. So this parade is massive. There is literal armies of guardsmen around. There are space marines. There are even titans roaming the streets. This might seem like overkill, but if you're not aware of what Psychers are, they're basically space magicians, and alpha level plus Psychers are very, very strong Psychers. According to the Warhammer Lexicanum or the Warhammer Wiki, a singular alpha level plus Psyker can wreak enough havoc where they end a world. So they have 33 of them on one planet in a confined space with billions of people. So if we were to paint an example, basically imagine if wherever you reside, whatever country it is, they managed to get all the nukes in the world. They acquired every single nuke that exists on the planet, and let's say you live in Times Square, and your local government wants to stroll those through Times Square with as many people as you can fit, essentially every person on the planet in that one area. Safest idea? Probably not. If you thought otherwise, don't. So we have a large scale celebration going on. So large that they actually had to turn ships away from Thracian Primaris because they didn't have enough room for everybody to actually come and watch this celebration. But before we get into the celebration, no, this isn't an ad break. I realize it sounded like that. I'm not that big yet. Help me get there. We have to talk about something that happened a little bit earlier in the day on Thracian Primaris. See, the Lord Commander of Thracian, they wanted there to be no clouds on their parade. They wanted no rain on their parade for this day. I know, good, right? So they environmentally wreaked havoc on the entire planet in order to essentially burn off all the clouds and moisture in the air the day before the event. Now, how did they do this? I'm actually about to read an excerpt from Eisenhorn's Malleus, so bear with me here. The day cycle began brightly. In the night, flocks of airships from the Officium Meteorologicus had seeded the smog fields and upper cloud levels with carbon black and other chemical precipitants. Before dawn, 1,600-kilometer-wide rainstorms had washed the clouds away and drenched the primary hives, sleuthing the dirt and grime away for the first time in decades. The sky was clear, not blue exactly, but clear of yellow pollution banks. The sun's light permeated the atmosphere, and the steepled ridges and high towers of the hives glowed. I heard from informal sources that this radical act of weather control would have profound ill consequences for the planet's already brutalized climate for decades to come. Reactive hurricane storms were expected in the southern regions before the week was out, and the drainage system of the primary hives was said to be choked to bursting by the singular rainfall. It was also said that the seas would die quicker thanks to the overdose of pollutants hosed into them so suddenly by the rain clearing. But the Lord Commander Helican had insisted that the sun shone on his victory parade. A bit later that day, outside the windows of our speeding lifter limousine, we saw steam rising from the empty rain-washed streets. Despite his best efforts, the Lord Commander Helican would have clouds before noon. By the way, that was from Eisenhorn's perspective in the novel. Lord Helican Commander pushed pollutants into the clouds in order to fill them and make them rain in order for them to disperse the night before. So morning comes, all is fine, but then obviously as the day continues on, everybody's actually getting to the parade and things warm up. Steam! They evaporate. All the water that came down evaporated, and so there were clouds anyway, which is fucking hilarious. Thracian's environmental stunt makes BP oil look like John Muir, and it was all for nothing. It wasn't even an accident. They did it on purpose. The fact that nobody thought like, oh shit, the water cycle exists, hilarious to me. Now we have the main event. Thracian Primaris got done playing environmental terrorists that morning, and now they were ready to play actual terrorists by dragging all these chaos psychers through their city with all of their civilians and armies around. So of course, things go to shit. Who would have thought? This is called an atrocity. So while the parade is happening, a lightning fighter, which is a fighter plane used by the Imperial, or the Imperium, sorry, this isn't Star Wars, bombs into the crowd. And that's not it. There is a second plane. I know, it's a little nail in the head. Second plane hits the crowd, chaos ensues. Literal, actual chaos, not just from the chaos psychers. After those first two planes crash, more lightning fighters come through, but they don't crash. They just start doing strafing runs on the crowd and the armies and the civilians standing by, just annihilating them. Things are blowing up. Everything is going to hell. Space Marines, civilians, guardsmen, you name it, they're dying. So after the kamikaze and strafing runs, of course, in all the chaos, all 33 of those alpha level plus psychers now get free. These are people that have the ability to melt your mind by looking at you, and they're now running around the city. So this event could not get much worse. The entire hive is basically on fire at this point within less than an hour. Pretty impressive, actually. Now, you might be asking, why did these planes crash into the crowd? Why are there strafing runs happening on everyone? Well, there's an overarching or arching reason for this, but there'd be big spoilers for the book, so read the book and you'll find out why, or watch the video that I'm making on it. So absolute carnage is happening, just ripping and tearing of people as these psychers get free, and there is strafing runs and just full-blown urban combat because the psychers are able to possess people, make them fight, crazy shit happening. Now, there's not a whole lot of notable psychers mentioned in this. There's one named Esharden that is part of the plot for Eisenhorn's Malleus, and that's about it. There are two called the Apex Twins, which aren't mentioned in the book, but they are notable psychers in the community. I found some info about them online. They're essentially just the girls from The Shining, but as psychers in the Warhammer universe. So as if things weren't scary enough, now you have to deal with little girls being able to melt your mind in Warhammer, apparently. But that's about it as far as the psychers go. There aren't too many notable characters that this involves. Now, it is worth mentioning that this is the event that basically ruined Ravenor's life. So there is an entire omnibus that happens before this event following the character Ravenor, who is Eisenhorn's apprentice. If you read Ravenor before Eisenhorn, this is how he becomes a vegetable. Now, the Imperium organized a bunch of kill teams in a combative siege, regain control of the city in about 2 weeks' time. Now, they were able to kill most of the psychers, but quite a few were able to escape. 3 of them being the ones I mentioned, the 2 Apex Twins, and then 1 as Harden, one of the MacGuffins in Eisenhorn. So all things considered, the Imperium made pretty quick work of how bad of a situation this was. They also suffered heavy losses and some pretty questionable environmental control. Now, there was irreparable damage to this hive world and hive city, but there are still people living there. It is still functioning after this event, but non-functioning is a loose term. If you're one of the citizens of said hive world, you're lucky because so many people died. There's probably actually some space for you to live in now. But now you have to deal with living in a hive world with dead people all around, fire, missing psychers, a non-functioning sewer system, and irradiated oceans that probably won't exist in the next few years. So I don't know if you're really the lucky one if you manage to survive this event. Now, that about sums up the Thracian atrocity. It's just a fun little tidbit that I wanted to talk about in more detail and describe a bit more. So if you made it this far, thank you for watching, and let me know if you enjoy this style of content. I like the little bits of Warhammer lore building, and that's really what itches my brain that I like talking about. The Primarchs and the Space Marines are all fun to talk about, but it gets done a lot and you hear a lot about them. I get burnt out on it, and I just like these fun little tidbits. So if you do too, let me know and I'll keep doing them. And if you would like to see more of them, please like, comment, and subscribe. And if you want to hear more about the aftermath of this and if you want to hear more about the aftermath of this event, make sure you look out for the Eisenhorn Malleus video coming out soon. Thank you. Bye. Love you.